cactus and succulent growers, it's Lynn, and in today's video I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about how you can care for Coryphantha cacti, and also I'm going to be sharing a little repotting or potting up of my two Coryphantha Beehive cactus plants that I have grown from seed back in 2015. But first of all, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Coryphantha and also how you can care for them. Now, Coryphantha are small globular cacti that are native to arid areas of Central America, Mexico, New Mexico, Arizona, and many parts of Texas. Now, up until the last century, Coryphantha used to be under the Mammillaria genus group, but they do differ to Mammillaria in that within the first year's growth, they can produce flowers from the top of them, as Mammillaria produce flowers in a little ring from the second year's growth. So that's the difference between the two. And these cacti have tubercles instead of ribs, such as these little tubercles here, little pointed tubercles. A lot of cacti would have ribs, such as these here, the typical ribs of cacti. And I'm going to talk to you now a little bit about the care. Oh yes, there's also about 60 different types of Coryphantha in the genus. Now, when it comes to caring for them, the most important thing is a well-draining cactus soil. And this is very important because Coryphantha, they tend to be very rot prone. They're very sensitive to overwatering and too much water in the soil, so a very, very well draining cactus soil. I've made up the cactus mix here. I'm going to be potting them up in. I'm going to talk about that when I show you the potting up video. And when it comes to watering them, you need to make sure that you let the soil completely dry out in between waterings, and water only from spring until early fall, autumn time, making sure the soil totally dries out is very important. As I mentioned, they're rot prone. With the lighting, they can take full sun, direct sun to part shade. So you'll know if your Coryphantha is getting too much sun, if it goes a little bit yellowish. They can take part shade. I have these in my green tinted polyton, so it's a little bit of shade, but they seem to grow very well. They get plenty of sun as well. So a bright, well lit, sunny position is ideal for Coryphantha. And fertilizing. Now, Coryphanthas are very slow growing cacti. These two here, as I say, I've grown them from seed 8 years ago, back in 2015, and they're still very tiny. They're very, very slow growing, so they're not big hungry plants. You don't need to fertilize them perhaps as much as other types of cacti, and I would fertilize these about once every 2 months from the spring up until late summer with either a cactus fertilizer or very weak dilute half strength tomato fertilizer, just to encourage flowering. These, as I say, are still too young. They haven't flowered for me yet, but the tomato feed does help to encourage flowering. I've done many videos on why I like to use tomato feed to fertilize cactus plants, so do check them videos out. But any type of good quality cactus fertilizer once every couple of months from spring and summer is perfect for these. Now, they like to be overwintered totally dry, no watering given at all from sort of mid-fall, autumn time up until early spring. And this is very important because, as I say, these are very rot prone cacti, so if you was to water them in winter when they're resting, then they're very likely to rot. So keep them totally dry from fall, autumn until the early springtime, and overwinter in a bright position ideally, and with a temperature no lower than 5 Celsius, which is about 41 degrees Fahrenheit, so cool and dry. Now, propagation is done by seeds. I was very lucky to have been given some seeds of this lovely Coryphantha Beehive from my wonderful friend Martin, who lives in Dublin. So hi Martin, if you're watching this. I sowed the seeds that he gave me and had quite a lot that have grown. I've got others of these as well, and I've given some away to other growers here in Belfast, and these are the two I've kept myself that are doing very well. So seed, and if you want to know how to grow cacti from seed, including Coryphantha, in fact I think I include these in that actual video, do check out a video I have made on how to grow cactus from seed. Links to that video will be up above and down below in the video description. And I have to mention the thing as well, when propagation, pests. And pests and diseases, as I say, the most common disease will be root rot. So do be very, very extra careful with the watering with Coryphantha cacti. And pests will be typical mealybugs, spider mites. I personally find that Coryphantha cacti extremely prone to mealybugs, and these are always coming down to it. In fact, the reason why I've got them unpotted at the moment is I've had to treat them for mealybug that was all under the neck, and I had to get them out, completely treat them. I've sprinkled them with diatomaceous earth, completely free now of mealybugs, and I'm going to be potting them up in the video. So you do have to be have a very sharp eye to keep an eye out for mealybug especially. I then treat with either rubbing alcohol, diatomaceous earth or neem oil. All of them three remedies seem to keep mealybug in track. So that's a little bit about this Coryphantha cacti. There's, I say, many different types in the genus. The flower colours, they produce the flowers from spring and summer, and they come in many colours, from pink, purple, white, yellow and cream, depending on the type of species of Coryphantha that you have. Now, when it comes to repotting, as I mentioned about the soil, it has to be very, very well draining. And I like to make my own mix of 3 equal parts of a loam-based soil. In this case, I'm using John Innes number 2, mixed with pumice and horticultural sharp sand. And I make it roughly around 3 equal parts, so that when I water the cacti, they dry out very quickly in between waterings. This is very important, as I mentioned, especially for Coryphantha that are that little bit more rot prone. Now these are the 2 cuties here, and what I'm going to be doing, because these are prone to getting mealybugs around the neck of them, I'm going to be sprinkling a little tiny bit of diatomaceous earth, and this just the tiniest bit really does help to prevent any beasties from coming up on the cactus around the base here. Sprinkle a tiny little bit as well onto the roots, just a tiny bit, just like as if you're just putting a little bit of flour on, sprinkling a bit of flour on. That's enough. You only need to use a tiny bit of diatomaceous earth, because if you put too much of it, it can have the opposite effect. But I find it so effective with preventing both root mealybugs and even mealybugs around the neck of the base of the cactus. So that's that. And these are ready they're totally dry. I haven't, when I took these out, I left them dry. And I wouldn't recommend repotting cacti when the roots are wet and the soil is wet. You want to wait till they're dry, take them out, and then use dry soil as well. And here we go. I've got 2 little pots. I've only gone for the pot just to suit their size, because they are very rot prone. So if I was to pop these into large pots, when I do go to water them, however well draining the cactus soil is, it could still stay wet longer than ideal, and that's when root rot can happen. So again, small little pots means the soil will dry out in between waterings, and just a small amount of soil at the bottom of the pots there, probably a little bit less than that. Very well draining soil, so no problem here. And I'll just turn this down so you can see what I'm doing. Now, normally when it comes to handling cacti, if they're very large or they're very spiny, do protect your hands. Either use, if you've got very good gloves, then that's great, but most gloves are hopeless. So I like to use either sheets of paper, sheets of newspaper wrapped around my hands, or sheets of card when I'm handling cacti. These are very small, and the spines are honestly not sharp. I mean, as you can see there, I can handle this no problem. So no trouble with me just holding this as it is. As I say, a bit of diatomaceous earth sprinkled around them there, gives them a bit of extra protection. Then I'm going to gently hold that, and then just get the soil around the edges. I'm going to gently give it a tap, because that helps all the soil to get underneath the cactus, so all the sides are all full of soil. One of these little dabbers to make sure it's all gone in. There you go. I can let go of the cactus, it's not going to fall out. It's It's amazing, these are 8 years old, guys, that I've grown from seed, and they're still very tiny, but they're doing well, very happy to say. And I've got the label there, Coryphantha Beehive 2015. That's the year I sowed them. So that's the first cutie done, and now the next one. So just gently placing it in like so, and then putting the soil all around the edges, gently tapping. And I've got loads of repotting to do this year, guys. The summer is running away with me, and I've got so many I need to repot. It's scary, and me and Hans are hoping to get a new greenhouse or polytunnel to replace our big green one. Hopefully a white, transparency coloured greenhouse polytunnel. So it's going to be much better lighting for the cacti as well, and much better when I'm doing my videos, because it's not going to have that annoying sort of green colour that a lot of my videos come out with, a green polytunnel. So fingers crossed we can get that sorted in the autumn time. And go, little tap again, a little dabber, just to make sure that this is all down the sides, tucked in. And little label, Coryphantha Beehive. So, oh, and that one's broke, so I have to rewrite that label. Never mind, I could just put that there, temporary. Coryphantha Beehive. So that's then potted up. Happy days. And as I mentioned, now I've repotted these, I'm not going to be giving these any watering now for about 10 days. And the reason for that, even though it is summer now, and I water all the cacti every time the soil is dried out in their pots, but with newly repotted cacti, I do like to let them settle into their pots just for about, I say, 10 days to 2 weeks. These are nice and plump anyway, so they're not going to do any harm, and then after 10 days I shall water them as normal. So I hope you enjoyed the care video, and should you want to know a little bit more about Coryphantha, and I hope you enjoyed the little repotting, and thanks so much for watching, everybody. Before you go, do leave a comment in the comments down below, even if it's a heart or a smiley face, because every comment really does help the algorithm and helps my channel to get noticed. If you haven't done, do subscribe. Don't forget to click the notification bell. You can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook to see lots of all my cacti flowers on there, photographs. And do check out my website for the growing tips on there also, desertplantsofavalon.com. I want to wish you all a fantastic cactus powered day. Thank you for repotting me. Thank you, Miss Lynn.